Dan and Amanda Rockroar doing business as a couple. Like, do you do business with your spouse or your partner? Because let's all be real, it gets a little bit spicy and it gets heated, and there is a freaking learning curve behind the art of doing business as a couple. So I'm super excited to have this time with Dan and Amanda. And I'm even more excited that they're coming to speak at the Conscious Investor Growth Summit, taking place in like 35 days, probably 34. Dan's our number, guys. He'll tell us all about it. But let's welcome you guys. Hey, welcome Dan and Amanda to Live.
Hi, Julie. Hi, everyone.
So you guys are coming up to speak. Can we give a teaser as to what are you going to speak about? Like, what is a big takeaway that is going to really shift things? And even if they're not doing business as a couple, is this going to help them?
Good.
I'm jumping in.
You're jumping in. I'm putting Dan on the
spot.
Well, we're going to share a tool with you, but we won't disclose what that tool is yet. But to give you a preview, one of the biggest things we've learned with couples in business or couples in general is that 69% of the issues that couples fight about are perpetual, meaning that you will never solve those issues. It's personality differences. It's just perspective differences. It's where you came from differences. And it's really just navigating through those issues and those conflicts. It's not really about solving those conflicts in the moment. It's more about just how you work together and how you live copacetically, basically. Do you want to share the other one?
Yeah, so it's all about managing. And so one of the things that we also know about couples, if you've ever heard of the Gottman Institute, they do a lot of research.
I love Gottman. Yeah. I was going to ask you guys if you've read The 7 Principles of a Highly Effective Marriage. I'm like,
we haven't read that, but we read Fight Right. And that is one of the books that we kind of talk about. That's kind of how we got that fact right there. But it talks a lot about what makes a really successful couple, not just in business, but just in life. And one of those things is it's called the 5-1 ratio. And essentially it's like having 5 positive interactions for every 1 negative interaction. And when you're in business with your lover, there's more issues constantly. So you're increasing the amount of like conflict and fights. And so you have to balance that, not even balance, you have to overgive on the positive side to help like shape the negative side, to balance out that negative side. So that's kind of why we're so excited to be on stage and talk about a tool that we use regularly in our marriage. And it also just kind of transformed our business as well. And so just trying to, again, offset that negative balance of, because you're going to have more conflict, and lean more on the positive side.
That's so awesome. All right. So I have a few questions. While we have them here, we're going to ask some questions, put them in the opportunity seat, because it's not hot or spicy, it's opportunity. Can you share about a time where things were really tense for you guys? Like what drove you guys to looking into the Gottman Institute, Fight Right, things like that? Like what was going on that really led to this?
Go ahead.
I don't know specifically, but I mean, we had a tough time during COVID, just like anyone else, and that kind of forced us into business together, because for a while there we kind of felt like victims, and we had this victim mentality where we're like, why is this happening to us? The government shut down our primary business, and as with a lot of people, it was a stressful time. So then we decided that we want to take control of our lives, and that's what kind of pushed us into investing in real estate. But then we realized that we were essentially working together because we were buying properties together, and so in a sense, we started doing business as a couple without even knowing it. Way back then, and we realized that we started butting heads more. If you're just a couple that's one going to a W-2, the other one's going to a W-2, you interact a lot less. But when you're at home, self-employed, by yourself, like working together, you're working constantly, and then you're operating your home constantly. If you have kids, then it's a lot of feedback, kind of like Amanda said. So if you're constantly giving that feedback in the moment, it can be stressful, or sometimes you can ignore the fact that you need to give appreciation. So I think that kind of in a roundabout way answered the question.
Yeah, I can give one example. This happened maybe like a month ago, and we're working on a new product. and we've been iterating and changing things. And I can't remember the exact specifics, but those who are in couple or in relationship with their partner know, like, when you don't agree sometimes. So I came at Dan and I was like, hey, I think we should change this. And I was getting really passionate about it, not in a sense of like angry or anything like that. I just get excited and it kind of comes off aggressive, to be honest. And Dan wanted to, he is kind of conflict avoidant. And so he wants things to be peaceful because he's the calm guy in our relationship. And so he wanted to just be like, okay, fine, let's just not do it anymore. Actually, now I remember what it was. He wanted to change something and go in a certain direction, but he didn't fully understand the direction he wanted to go yet. He was still working in his head. And so I started asking more questions. He's a questioner, so he doesn't love someone asking him questions. And so he wanted to shut down the conversation because he wanted to avoid the conflict just in general. And I paused the conversation and I was like, hey, it seems like you're trying to avoid the situation right now. I was like, let's just go into it. Let's run into this like conflict, because he always says conflict equals clarity. And I was like, this is a moment for us to clarify what you're trying to tell me, because I can tell you're passionate about it, but I don't understand. So I'm asking more questions, and I know you don't love that. And it was just like a moment we needed to pause in the middle of the meeting just to have that conversation. So that's, I guess, an example of a moment that there was some conflict that happened.
You know, what I love about what both of you have shared here is that it gives us like line of sight as to how this was birthed, number one. And the reality is that healthy marriages still have passion, conflict in situations that come up. And I think that sometimes we'll get this idea in our marriage that if we had a healthy marriage, like it would be easy and we'd get along and all of this. And the reality is that we're two humans and we're creating and building. And so there is going to be the tension and the conflict. So I love that was something that was actually recent, Amanda, because it's like, oh, well, even the gurus, like even you guys, still walk through it. And I think sometimes we can see people who have can kind of become the poster child, of something. And it's like, yeah, they still have to, eat, sleep, and use a restroom. Like, it's just part of being human, and it's going to be okay. So thanks for bringing that the human element and the, like, you guys are just a normal couple who've created this really great toolbox that you empower other people to build their own toolboxes so that they can go out and have the best relationships. I was thinking also, as you guys were both sharing, how relevant this is for people who are even not doing business together. But if there's so many people where they're both working at home and they might even have their W-2s, but they're working from their home offices. And so you're in the same environment all the time, doing all the stuff all the time. And even though you're not making all these decisions necessarily together as business owners, you're still in the same, energetically, you're still in the same proximity. And there's something to that.
Oh, yeah. Speaking of that.
It's funny you said the same office, because I just kicked her out of my office.
Because I talk too much and I distract him, and he is like, he needs focus time, not distracted. And so we had been working together in the same office for 3 years. Well, almost 3 years.
Yeah. And I think that really just comes back to personality too. Like, I am the type, I feel like people in business or people just in a relationship, you've got two different personalities, and a lot of times they're completely opposite. Whereas Amanda, she could go to a coffee shop, have her laptop, have all these noises, have all these people, transactions going on, a bunch of light, scenery, everything out there, and work really diligently. Where I'm the guy where I need to go in the library, I need to have a cubicle, I need to have my headphones on and my blinders on, and everything is just like focused on that. And so that's why that environment kind of, we should have done it a long time ago of separated out. So
yeah, that was a part of our 69% perpetual issues. And then we kind of got rid of that one.
I really hope, if you're watching this, I know this, we're streaming this live to YouTube right now, but wherever you end up watching this content, you want to make sure to go and follow Doing Business as a Couple over on Instagram. And I'm hopeful that there is some type of content, because you guys create such awesome content. Like, it's fun, it's engaging, but it's so relevant and heartfelt. And so like reading the captions is really like just salt of the earth, like lifts us into a whole different stratosphere. So I'm hoping that you guys have like a picture of Amanda like with a box leaving the office, maybe happy. So I don't know how that looks, but I just feel like maybe there needs to be some content around like the move. Like, this is a big deal. 3 years, this you're tackling part of the 69%. Like, that's massive.
It's actually a really good idea. I think we can make something of that. But also, in addition to Instagram, we are launching our YouTube channel just because we feel like this type of content needs more explanation. And Instagram, unfortunately, is short form content. It's 6 to 10 seconds long. And a lot of people don't read the captions. So if you're watching this, then we will be launching a lot more videos on YouTube, which will be much longer content.
Is the handles going to be doing business as a couple?
Yes.
It's already open. We just haven't posted anything on it yet.
Okay, awesome. And is this what you guys were arguing and debating about, the new product, by chance?
No, it's more of a financial product.
Okay.
Do you want a preview of it, maybe? Or
I wish we had time to preview this, but if you're watching, you know that you're going to have direct access to tapping into Dan and Amanda's brilliant minds and into all the tools that they have created. And the beautiful thing is, just like you guys mentioned, Gottman Institute, Super Rad Steve and I, that has helped our marriage out so much. In fact, we were talking about picking up here. Look, in my bag, I have my book, literally, because we're on a reread of Gottman's 7 Principles of Making Marriage Work. Such a great book. So I love that you have taken tools, that you've implemented them, because we need role models, and that now you're making them accessible to couples, because a lot of times people don't read like we read, and so you guys make things so accessible. And that's just like, I'm sure it's just a drip of all the cool things that you've internalized from all the awesome learning you've done over the years. So the coolest part is that you can come hang out with Dan, Amanda, myself, all the other speakers, and all the other awesome attendees at the Conscious Investor Growth Summit. Coeur d'Alene Resort is absolutely gorgeous. And like, one of the most exciting things is that we have experiences running throughout this, and you don't have to pay thousands of dollars to come to the Growth Summit. And I've done that intentionally in preparation. I want this accessible because the heart of it is really to support anyone who wants to learn and grow in health, mindset, and wealth building strategies, and to be around other like-minded people. So your general admission ticket is going to include all sorts of fun mixers that are off-site. It's going to include brunch, and we're going to be doing a cold plunge. And we're also now, let's see, I don't think I've shared this with you guys, but we're going to do a lantern launch, and that's going to tie directly into a lot of the experience. So we're taking a holistic approach. 3rd year in a row. It's so transformative. You don't want to miss out on this opportunity. Dan, how many days until the Growth Summit? Because I know you know the days.
I don't actually know exactly, but I've gotten a couple of the emails from your assistant, Cassidy, I think. And there was one that scared the crap out of me. It said, we're a couple weeks away. I'm like, no, we're not. We're like a month and 3 weeks away. That is false.
I love that. So keep in mind, you also just want to come because Dan is a self-described introvert, and he is coming and hitting the stage for the very first time since middle school. And so it's going to be a moment. And I have full confidence. I would not have invited you to come and hit the stage together. We know Amanda aces the stage, but Dan, I have full confidence, and I'm so excited about just your hearts. I love your hearts. I love how you support couples and people in general. And I cannot even wait to see you guys hit the stage.
Thanks, Julie. We're so excited to be there and cold plunge and see Coeur d'Alene again.
It's going to be amazing. So head on over to the ConsciousInvestorGrowthSummit.com. You can pick up your tickets. They're not super spendy, and wow, it's going to change your life and introduce you to the most exceptional people on the planet. We'll see you there.
Thanks, Jordan.
Okay. Good. It says go live on my end, which means that we're
It works.